Hey guys, FilthyRobot here, bringing you the first of the Q&A videos. We're going to do one of these per month, assuming we get enough questions to make them worthwhile doing, and if not, we will combine them across months and answer them when we do get a decent number of questions. I'm not entirely sure yet if they're all going to be standalone or if I'm going to add them to the State of the Channel video, but in general, what's happening is Patreon users of $5 or more who have submitted a question get them answered. So let's do that. So the first of these is, what was the first game that you played for an excessive amount of time? That would be Warcraft 3. I probably would have played StarCraft for an excessive amount of time, but I was young enough when that was out that I had limits on my internet usage, and I was really only interested in playing multiplayer versus other human beings. And I really wasn't able to avoid those limitations like time on the computer or time online, this type of stuff. You gotta remember, I'm 33. That means when I first started playing online games, we were, it was dial-up and it was modems and it was, all this type of shit. And there were limitations, pretty severe limitations on things like the amount of time you could use. And I shared that with my brother, my dad, my mom, etc. Anyways, so we had limitations growing up as children, and it wasn't until Warcraft 3, which came out, I think I was playing that in high school and then into college, when I could actually play as much as I wanted to. And that was probably the first game that I played for an excessive amount of time. Certainly wasn't the last game I played for an excessive amount of time, but it's probably the one that sticks out the most at that time in my life. Next question is, what has piqued my interest in psychology as a field of study, or what had piqued my interest? It's an interesting question. It's kind of a harder question to answer. The short answer, I guess, is that to me, psychology seemed to be a field trying to explain the answer to the question of why do people do as they do, and that seems to me a larger or rather, the larger question that derives from is kind of why is the world as it is? And one of the subdomains of that is, because people are as they are, well, then why are people as they are? And to me, psychology was attempting to answer that question, or at least had the potential to shed some light on that. And I found that an interesting topic, something that was worthy of study and worthy of contribution to if I could answer or contribute to some of those questions. And interestingly, I started in engineering. I started in engineering physics before I changed majors to psychology, and then eventually went on for my graduate degree in psychology. But when I was in engineering, it was a similar style question. It was the question of how does the world work and why does it work as it does? And engineering, in this case, engineering physics was, at least what I thought initially would shed some light on that and be useful for me. And I found it really wasn't as interesting to me as the question of why do people behave as they do. All right, next question. Do I choose strategy games because of my channel or because I don't like anything else? And the answer to that is the channel follows what I play, right? I mean, the channel is me playing games and making guide videos for games. The channel started because I was streaming and people wanted to know how I was doing what I was doing. And they wanted to be taught and have some record of that where they could reference later on YouTube. And I started streaming because the players I was playing with wanted to know how was I doing what I was doing, and said I should stream this. People would like to watch it. So the genesis of the strategy game channel is because I play strategy games and enjoy strategy games, and people wanted to know kind of what I was doing and how I was doing it. To answer that broader, do I like other games besides strategy? Yes. There are a couple other type of genres of games that I like, and we're going to get to that in another question. But I play them mostly because I enjoy them. I like a game that is involving for me, that requires, I think, that gives me options so I can do different things. I like complexity, and I like games. Interestingly, I liked games more in the past like this, although I imagine I still like them. I liked games that would, the words I'm trying to use here, that would allow me to think about them when I wasn't playing them. Now that I do this for a living, I sometimes struggle to find the time to think of the games that I'm playing as I'm playing, because I'm producing so much content for them. There's not that downtime that I used to spend, like in the rest of my life when I wasn't doing this for a living, thinking about how to do better in the games that I couldn't be playing because I had other things I needed to be doing in my life, which is kind of amusing. But in general, that's the type of game I like, the game that has that complexity. The next question is, what were old school games that really got you into gaming? It depends how old we want to go. Certainly StarCraft was pretty influential on me. And then Blizzard's, the essential the next RTS that Blizzard released, Warcraft 3, was extremely influential on me. It remains one of my all-time favorite games. I still watch Grubby stream that from time to time. I still occasionally watch Back to Warcraft, which is a YouTube site and a stream focused on streaming the Chinese competitive scene, among other things, because it's still played competitively a million years later. The game is a fantastic game. It's a great RTS, it's a great strategy game, and it's a great viewer game, which is really, really interesting. That was probably one of the biggest old school games that I had. Other than that, I reminisce fondly about Shadowbane. The PvP style Shadowbane servers were amazing. I reminisce a little bit about Asheron's Call, although I didn't get too into that game. I remember Eve, we're starting to get a little bit closer. Eve is still pretty active these days, still very active these days. My understanding, although I haven't played it in probably 7 or 8 years now, I've had great fun with that. This type of games are the games that really, I don't know, I can't say Eve got me into gaming, but certainly the games that have held my interest as stuff has progressed. I really like intense player versus player games. That's really what does it for me. Oh man, I guess it just brought back another memory. If you go back even further, like I remember playing Heroes of Might and Magic 2 with my younger brother on Hot Seat when we were very little. I'm trying to remember, was there any... I remember a DOS game called Pharaoh's Tomb, which I think was the first game I ever played on PC, which my dad showed me as a young kid. I was probably 2nd or 1st grade when I played that, I think. So that was another one, I guess. The game was terrible by all standards, but it was the first computer game that I'd ever played, and I've been kind of hooked ever since. Anyways, that was a fun question, but I think we could go down that rabbit hole pretty much forever. The next one is sweet, but not very useful. It says, whatever you'd like to. I put you on Patreon because I love your content, your rants, your arguments for and against everything. You're doing great. Well, thank you for that, but not really a question I can answer. The next one says... I'm sorry if you've answered this question a million times on stream, but what mix of games / schedule are you aiming at for the next weeks? I do keep a schedule online. You can find that anytime you want by just going to my Twitch channel, whether or not I'm online or not, and typing !SC for schedule, and it will bring you a Google Calendar with my schedule. I stream 4 days a week. I record on the off days and produce content on the off days as well. And I generally stream 9 a.m. Central, U.S. Central Time until generally about 5 p.m. Sometimes it's been later recently, but it should go back to around 5 p.m. On the days that I stream. The plan, which has actually just been addressed in the State of the Channel video, but I can just quickly recap here, is a little bit more EU4, a little bit more Dawn of War 3 if the patch comes out, and I want to check out Endless Space 2, Battle Brothers, and hopefully if it comes out, the Darkest Dungeon patch. So that will probably be the next couple weeks of streaming. Okay, next. What would you, FilthyRobot, like to change in your channel to make your streaming more entertaining for you? I think the gist of this is, what would I like to make my channel more entertaining for myself? It's a weird question. I mean, essentially, I'm playing games, which generally the games I picked, and the games that I picked because I like them, or expect to like them. I mean, maybe this is just on my mind. I recorded the State of the Channel video today, so this is certainly on my mind, that part of what I thought I was going to like about streaming and YouTubing was that, you know, I would be doing what I liked when I liked to do it. I mean, that sounded pretty friggin' ideal for a job. The reality of that is I am much more at the mercy of external factors than I would like. Things like what games other people find popular, by just virtue of that, have larger numbers of people who want to watch them, which means that games that make me money, in other words, the games that people are wanting to watch, are not always the games I want to play. And to a large part, I ignore that and play the games I want to play, but that's detrimental to me financially to do that. So what I would love is another big AAA title that everyone wants to watch that is simultaneously a game that I really, really want to play. Most of the time that doesn't happen. Most of the time I find that I like to play games that are generally more intense or more strategic, I think, than the average viewer likes to play or likes to watch, and also more complicated than the average viewer likes to watch. So I'd love if I could just snap my fingers and make something change in the world that would make the experience better for me overall. Better for me. I would try to line up that synergy of a game that people want to watch, so I have the viewers basically, and also a game that I'd really like to play. So yeah. What other types or styles of games besides strategy games would I consider playing on stream? I would play RPGs, MMORPGs. I would play various simulators. For example, some sort of space fighter simulator, like the most recent TIE Fighter type thing would be fun. By the way, another game that I loved growing up was TIE Fighter. That was a phenomenal game, and I would love to play that style of game. I'd love to play another MechWarrior that was good. I remember fondly playing MechWarrior 2 and just roaming around an asteroid or like the moon with like the cool soundtrack in the background and like the total ambience of just like being in this enormous mech striding along and having like hostile encounters on like the surface of this moon with like a lot like jumping on people's like I remember like using rocket jumps to like land on their cockpit to crush the pilot, or shooting railguns from a million miles away. I would love another experience like that. Those would all be very, very fun. And I would love the next iteration of MMOs to come out. I'm ready for that genre to walk away from World of Warcraft clones and show us something innovative again, particularly in PvP. So I'm really excited about Crowfall, that hypothetically will be coming out sometime. I had some hopes for Star Citizen and may still have some hopes for that, although it seems to be the most indefinite alpha I've ever seen in my life. And there's another PvP-oriented MMO that's supposed to be coming out this year, I believe, at some point, that I've forgotten the name of, that I also am trying to pay some attention to. I don't know how an MMO is going to stream, and I'm a little bit worried about that. At least when I was playing Eve, which was a pretty heavily involved MMO, I couldn't have streamed what I was doing and still been able to do what I was doing, because giving my opponents that information ahead of time would have made it impossible for me to do what I was doing. And the Eve mentality would definitely have had people watching the stream to try to kill me for that reason. So I am a little concerned that outside of the whether or not people are going to want to watch an MMO, or what would differentiate my MMO channel from someone else's MMO channel, certainly I am also worried that I will be unable to do the things I enjoy in PvP-oriented MMOs while simultaneously streaming it. I've had the thought that maybe that won't be something I'll be able to stream. Maybe that will have to be something that I YouTube so it comes out after the fact, so at least it's not happening in real time. I had the thought perhaps I need to stick a delay on it, but all this seems kind of counterintuitive to what I'm doing as a channel, in part, which is, you know, communicating with you guys is partially a community thing, where I am doing this live in front of other people and people are interacting and, you know, etc. So we'll see. I'm hoping that I can still have an amazing PvP experience with Crowfall without having to not stream it. So, okay, guys, that is pretty much it for the questions this month. If you have questions and you are a patron of my channel, please feel free to submit them. The links are available to all patrons of 5 and above and on the site. So I do read them, I do put them together, and I will be answering them once a month. And otherwise, if you like this, please give me some feedback about this style of video in the comments below. I would like to actually see this. This is a experiment on the channel to see if this is something that you guys like, something you'd like to hear about. And if the answer is yes, we can do more of these in the future. And if not, we may change that reward to something else. So please let me know what you're interested in doing. And those of you who aren't patrons, if you wish to try to get the patrons to ask a question, you can certainly suggest questions below in the comment sections as well, and the other patrons can steal them if they find them to be questions they too would like answered. Or you could come support me if you'd like to do that. Sign up for a patron account and ask the questions directly. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon.